As Obi-Wan Kenobi once said, hello there, and welcome to Databank Brawl, the podcast where we learn about Star Wars characters, discuss them, share our little feelings about those characters, and then make them fight for our amusement and yours. I'm your host. My name is Joseph Scrimshaw. With me, as always, is Ken Napzok, and a return appearance of whiskey.
I almost didn't get to swallow that drink in time to say hello. Yes, we're back. Got some bullet bourbon poured here. Good to be back where Databank Brawl originated, late in a Monday evening.
That's really the heart and soul of Databank Brawl. It's a late Monday kind of thing. Almost cool, but not really.
Oh, yes.
And speaking of things that are cool, yeah, that was an only okay segue, but I'm sticking with it. Me and my whiskey say good enough. We want to mention that today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. You can get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at www.audibletrial.com/ForceCenter. Over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Because this is Databank Brawl, we're going to recommend something with a lot of fighting. Lords of the Sith. It's what we recommended for the main show as well, so come on, download Lords of the Sith. There's a ton of fighting in that book. You can download your free audiobook today. Go to audibletrial.com/ForceCenter. Again, audibletrial.com/ForceCenter for your free audiobook. And with that, we can get into some fighting pretty soon here.
Yeah, Lords of the Sith was kind of its own Databank Brawl. Because at one point, Vader has to fight like charging bugs, right?
Yeah. He's watching Palpatine like really enjoy cutting legs off of mushroom crabs or something. It's been a little while since I've listened.
Read it, but I'll tell you what, it works just like Databank Brawl. Sometimes you're like, how could this possibly work? And it works.
That shouldn't work. We've got a special episode of Databank Brawl here. We reached a goal. We do this every once in a while where we ask for some more reviews and ratings on iTunes. And then in reward, we do a special episode featuring main big players, huge Star Wars characters.
So thankful that we got the reviews, and your support means a lot. But I said, oh no, because that usually means this is a real big emotional challenge. Some big characters usually have to go down.
That is right. I just took my first sip of bullet.
Yeah, there you go.
To handle my emotions. So we've done a lot of these. We did Obi-Wan versus Boba Fett. I believe we did Jabba the Hutt versus Qui-Gon Jinn. I think we did Chewbacca versus General Grievous. Then we had our great cape battle that was Lando and Krennic.
Yes.
So, man, we have a lot to live up to or down to, depending on your opinion of how we handled those episodes. Are you ready for your first combatant?
Absolutely, sir.
Okay, our first major Star Wars character to enter the arena is Saw Gerrera.
Ooh, wow.
Here's what the StarWars.com databank has to say. A battered veteran of the Clone Wars, as well as the ongoing rebellion against the Empire, Saw Gerrera leads a band of rebel extremists. Saw has lost much in his decades of combat, but occasional flashes of the charismatic and caring man he once was shine through his calloused exterior. Gerrera is bunkered on the ancient world of Jeddah, coordinating a prolonged insurgency against the Imperial occupation. Saw's ailing health has not withered his resolve to fight. So really some interesting stuff there. Really a portrait of the character as we meet him in Rogue One. He's been through a lot emotionally, physically, but he's going to keep fighting.
He is. Wow. I don't know if I can do this. I can.
I believe in you.
Yeah.
So what's extra there on Wikipedia for Saw?
Some stats and stories here. Homeward, of course, Onderon, as you said, died. We know where he died. But hey, Databank Brawl, we determine new things sometimes or play around with timelines. Species, human male, 1.80 meters tall, 1.8 meters tall. Hair color, well, you got black with an orange stripe, later green with no orange stripe. Eye color, blue, later green, later brown. A comment on the canon of eye colors.
These old rainbow eyes, Gerrera, yeah.
Cybernetic right leg, oxygen respirator, pressurized suit of armor, reinforced lungs. That's how we see him in Rogue One. But when we first meet him, Clone Wars Season 5, he and his sister Steela, well, he is young, vibrant, and quite the fighter.
Yeah, he's a lithe creature. Yeah. So what else is filling out there? I mean, he's got a lot of stories. He pops up in Rebels. Anything else? Sometimes for our obscure characters, it's like they existed. They were in this corner, and that's it. What do you want from us? A character like Saw Gerrera is gonna have some meat in his story.
He is. I mean, gosh, we could go. I mean, Rogue One. Rogue One. Was just the beginning in a lot of ways for a lot of people. Because I think a lot of people didn't see him in Clone Wars who saw Rogue One, right? But you can go through now Rebels and the return to Geonosis and what he was doing on there. He's got that mission. He's got the stuff in Rebel Rising.
Yes, the great book.
Ooh, oh, man. But Beth Revis, great book. And you get these quotes.
Get it on Audible.
Get it on Audible using your ForceCenter. There's so many quotes I'm seeing here.
Oh, yeah. Give us a quote.
They're pulling them. I'll start from the top. You want to know who Saw is? Just go to the quotes. I'm not a terrorist. I'm a patriot, and resistance is not terrorism. He goes on to say, if you have a chance to fight, you take it. That's what we did on my world when the Separatists took control. Were you victorious? Eventually, but we paid a price, a terrible price. But you know that is worth it to Saw. And this one from his sister, his late sister, Stila. He fashions himself as our leader, though no one elected him, which is an interesting take on the character, even from his own sister, who he clearly holds most dear. And probably her deaths sent him into a weird headspace.
I think so. Yeah, that one quote, those quotes about it was a terrible price, really drive home that, like, well, if I lost this fighting, then no one else has an excuse not to fight.
Yeah.
Like everybody else should. If I'm willing to lose this much for the cause, how can other people just look away?
Right.
Yeah, that's very, very fascinating. So we don't really need a physical description. We know what Saw Gerrera looks like. So let's just get right to our feelings. How do you feel about Saw Gerrera?
If you can't already, I really do love the character of Saw, and in the spirit of great, Star Wars unintentional comedy, there's a little bit of Saw in Rogue One that is fun to poke fun at in the sense, not poke fun, but just kind of, keep the dream alive, all that, his voice choice.
Save the dream.
Hollywood, what's your dream? It's
I hadn't really thought of him. It's
like a crossover, right?
Cincinnati, are you ready to rock?
Point being, I know a lot of people are like, I didn't really like that character in the movie. Okay, fair. And a lot of people thought, why did he die? It was useless to have him die. Carry the character on. And would I have liked to have seen Saw having one final battle on Scarif? Sure. But I loved that this character finally, it was time for him to stop fighting.
Yeah.
And the others had to pick up the flag finally. And as the character Saw rolls back to where we first meet him, which is the great episodes where Anakin and Ahsoka and Obi-Wan are kind of teaching terrorist tactics to people to fight the Separatists, and they
feeling conflicted about it. Yeah.
Some deep stuff even then. As the character rolls out, especially in Rebel Rising, I'm intrigued by the character of Saw Gerrera more and more.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's such a great example of when everything clicks and hums with Lucasfilm storytelling, that characters being developed for Rogue One. Like, there's a character that George created that really thought this was the character.
Yeah.
The real symbol of this kind of, like, I don't want to fight this way, but it's the only fight I have, so I have to do it and take all this damage. And they're like, make him Saw Gerrera.
Yeah.
And then, just all of the kind of weird questions of what has gone on with him in his backstory, with the changing eyes, the changing hairstyle behind the scenes for some reason.
Oh,
Even with
right.
that, like,
yes.
There's a lot of weird changes. But then when you just get into the story of him, how you see him in Rogue One with that just crappy mechanical foot clunking, and just so wounded emotionally and physically, so full of paranoia. I think that's my favorite line. Like, did you come here to kill me? And it's just, I genuinely love everything about the character as like written on the page and everything he symbolizes. And I think it makes sense that he believed that Jyn was going to pick up the torch.
Yeah.
This young woman that he had trained, and that he felt okay to die. And then you map on top of all of that the kind of over-the-top voice choice.
Yeah.
I love that stuff. It's one of the reasons I love Palpatine, because he makes sense in a real deep way, and also, man, that voice choice.
Voice choices. Yeah, no, it fits right in. I love it. I love it. It's quotable, but that's part of the fun of Star Wars.
Yeah.
There's a reason there's just a whole, industry of Palpatine voices.
And Saw Gerrera's right up there.
Yeah.
Who knows? Could have been sampling his Borg gullet himself. We don't know. He's a little loony.
Yeah, and I want to know because the end of Rebels butts up pretty close to the events of Rogue One and A New Hope. And he's kind of in one piece when we last leave him.
Yeah.
So there's still one more piece of the story I want to hear.
Yeah, some pieces that he loses. And he might lose them today. Who knows? Are you ready for your next combatant?
I am.
The other combatant is Maul.
Oh, wow. We never have, huh?
Yeah, we never have that I remember. I'm 99% sure. Here is what the StarWars.com databank has to say. A deadly, agile Sith Lord trained by the evil Darth Sidious, Darth Maul was a formidable warrior and scheming mastermind. He wielded an intimidating double-bladed lightsaber and fought with a menacing ferocity. Though he fell in battle against Obi-Wan Kenobi, the Zabrak from Dathomir would prove to be much harder to destroy than originally believed. And I really like that this was written before he fell to Obi-Wan Kenobi again.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, so Maul.
Darth
Maul. Darth Maul. Maul's how he's going these days. He lost the old Darth title, but you got him pulled up on Wikipedia?
I do. I accidentally clicked on Wikipedia, and I was like, "Where's the normal thing site?" Oh, this is the other real version.
So you got some stats.
So we got some stats. Homeworld Dathomir, like you said, Zabrak. I think at one point I was saying Zabrak, but I think Zabrak is where I've come down, and that's how they say it in the shows. Right?
Is it? Yeah, I could.
Yeah,
I could
Zabrak. No, I think you're right, but I think
Zabrak.
Is that? I don't know. Good old Z's.
I want to pronounce it as far away from Zach Braff as possible.
That's true. That's
what,
fair.
What kind of alien is Darth Maul? He's a Zach Braff?
He's a Zach Braff?
Yeah.
There you go. Height, 1.75 meters, and then 1.94 meters.
Ooh.
That's what happens when you get some cybernetic legs. Eye color yellow and red, skin color red. Cybernetics, six-legged apparatus, which was eventually changed to two cybernetic legs, and even that went kind of a little different.
Yeah.
He changed out his parts there a little bit.
Yeah, he switched up his legs a lot.
But this is my favorite part here. The clans and the affiliations. Knight Brothers, all right? Sith, Trade Federation, Cad Bane's group, Death Watch, Shadow Collective, Crimson Dawn. He's played for a lot of teams.
He really has.
Been traded around the galaxy a little bit.
Yeah, he's man. You just can't keep Maul down, can you? Obviously, his Wikipedia page is going to be full of his detailed stories once you start getting into
scrolling.
Clone Wars and various comic books. And we did a Maul episode of the main show, so you can go check that out where we walk through all the craziness of Maul. But do we have a quote for him?
I was apprenticed to the most powerful being in the galaxy once. I was destined to become so much more.
Oh, wow.
Apologies to Whitwer, but yeah, that's a good.
That's
one.
that's
a good thesis statement.
It's a sad
Maul.
quote. Like, that's definitely on the back cover of his autobiography. Maul, a life in two parts. No, that's not right.
Been watching HBO, the Elvis, the Searcher, which is really good rock doc there. But yeah, we get a Maul doc.
Yeah. So let's just jump right to our feelings. Yeah. How do you feel about Maul?
Hey, like a lot of people, I love Maul, and like a lot of people, my appreciation of Maul has grown and changed and matured over the years. I'm right there with all you Phantom Menace fans. I was there in 1999 waiting in line to buy those figures. I still have the ones I purchased that night in the box on card, I should say. Maul's great. And then when he died, I was like, record scratch? What? And I didn't appreciate it as much as I did. And then luckily the character comes back, and I didn't think that would work, and it does. And as the character and the tragedy of the character has kind of rolled out, I'm always going to be intrigued by Maul.
Yeah. I love what became of the character that he is. The databank says this mixture of menacing ferocity, but also a scheming mastermind, and represented kind of both sides of the Sith. And I'll always be grateful that he did get cut in half in Phantom Menace, as much of a shock as it was, because there was that cool action figure where he had a magnet. keeping him together, and you could pull him apart. And it was one of the happier days of my life. I opened that one, got it out of the package to play Pull Maul Apart.
As it should. As it should.
Yeah, so I love Maul. There's no more really for me to say about it because I've said it on other podcasts. He's great. Mm-hmm. Let's fight. So as always, we get to decide the where and the when. Now, these characters are both alive at the same time a lot.
Yeah.
I'm tempted to go right in that sweet spot, right before both of their ends, really.
Yeah.
Because there is room for them to have interacted.
There is.
There's lots of room for them to have interacted in between Sith and A New Hope.
Totally, because so we know he was trapped, right?
On Malachor for a while. But then he's out and about in the galaxy. He goes to Dathomir, but he could go on a little field trip. I'm trying to think if the timelines line up for him to encounter Saw before he passes.
Because
before Maul passes.
Saul shows up in season 3 of Rebels and then again in season 4, correct?
Yeah.
So they're tooling around the galaxy at the same time. So I definitely want to. You and I are both struggling to get the right time frame so you don't get nice handwritten letters from people telling us we got it wrong. But I know within that Rebels time frame, I want them to clash.
Okay, let's do it. All right. So Maul's generally in the headspace of he's messing with Ezra. He's trying to find Kenobi so he can finally just get some revenge. Whatever he had going with Crimson Dawn, he doesn't have it going anymore. But maybe he knew Saw Gerrera back in the day because I think Saw would not have been above doing business with Crimson Dawn if he thought it would hurt the Empire.
Yeah. And if Enfys Nest is fighting Crimson Dawn and she's selling things to Saw, and Saw's around that world. So I like this idea that this is Maul has learned that Obi-Wan is alive, which we know he's alive. He's alive. And he starts his own little detective project.
Yeah.
And it leads him to someone he knows as a former associate, because Obi-Wan was there training Saw on Onderon years and years ago.
He thinks, maybe if Kenobi is alive, maybe he's not just hiding. Maybe he's part of this rebellion that Ezra and Kanan have going. And
it would make sense, right?
Yeah, and he knows that Saw is up in that.
Yes.
So do you think he finds out, tracks down, just tortures some various people? Another poor Tognath. 3 tubes. Who had extra protection. Didn't save him.
Didn't work.
Tortured by Maul to give up Saw's location on Jeddah. Do you want to go to Jeddah?
Mm-hmm. I was just going to think. I was thinking, the wilds of Jeddah.
The wilds of Jeddah. Why not, right?
Yeah, it would make some sense. So I think Saw, we at this point again, so his health I think is a little bit better. And I think he still is able to, at this point, to travel is possible.
Yeah.
So I think maybe he and his team are going through Jeddah getting supplies, stocking up. Get some fruit, get some salted pork. We'll take it back. We're going to go back to the Saw Gerrera compound and have a barbecue.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is pretty... Saw's shown a lot of spine because it's dangerous to show his face.
Yeah.
But Saw can't stop himself. There's a question of maybe he is even enjoying the violence. And he tells his lieutenants they're just getting supplies. But while they're in town, Saw shoots a stormtrooper or two. And
right.
I think they're beating a hasty retweet, not a retweet. They spread the message of rebellion any way they can.
I cannot like Saw's tweets anymore.
The hollow Twitter. They have hollow Twitter for sure. So he retweets that he just killed some stormtroopers for just propaganda purposes and then retreats. And I think they're just getting outside of the city when they see something strange.
Yeah, they see a Sith speeder.
Ooh.
Zooming up. And Saw he doesn't know exactly what it is. He's not force sensitive, but he's been around the galaxy enough and used to hang out with some Jedis. He knows something's not right.
Yeah. So I think he says, "Blasters, take out your blasters. And this is kind of redundant because I think everybody probably had them out anyway.
Everyone's like, that's what we like to do.
But I think Saw goes a little closer to investigate. Just as he touches the speeder, puts his hand on it, it rockets forward.
Oh, yeah.
And Saw grabs it. And it drags him through the sand a little bit. But he's a fighter. He rolls up. He gets ready. He trains his blaster behind him.
Right.
And I think behind him what he sees is just a crimson blade dancing through his lieutenants, hacking them to bits, right?
Yeah, luckily Benthic and Edrio Two Tubes were on break.
Yep.
They were back home. Beezer, Fortuna, not there. A lot of your favorites.
They're all feeding the Borgullet.
Yeah, a lot of your favorites aren't here. He took the B team in, and Maul is slicing down the partisans.
Yeah.
He's parting out the partisans.
He's putting them into parts, the partisans, parting the partisans. Yeah, just enough for Saw to understand what is happening. Mm-hmm. And I think Saw... Oh, no. Yeah, like, no. And I think he says, yells out, like, I know what you are.
Yep.
I don't know what you want. But you won't get it. It's starting to sound like Abe Simpson.
Local resistance fighter yells at clouds.
I think he does it. I got an idea of a cool maneuver he does.
Okay,
You tell me if you think it works out.
I'm on board.
I think he's watching Maul finish off his lieutenants. I think he pulls out an explosive, attaches it to the Sith speeder, and launches the Sith speeder back at Maul.
All right.
Trying to catch him in a massive explosion.
So he flips off at the back there, and then I think as he watches, Maul finally, the last hack is hacked.
Yeah.
And then
there goes Sneezer Fortuna.
Sneezer Fortuna is dead. And
one final sneeze.
He looks
R.I.P.
up. He looks up. And this is why Bib Fortuna would never sneeze. He looks up and he sees his own Sith speeder racing at him. And Maul's very agile. He knows what's going on. But he stops the speeder, like with the Force.
Yeah.
And then I think he pushes it back towards Saw with the detonator still going.
And I think Saw is faster than him.
Yes.
And I think he says, "Can't fool me." And I think he's a good shot. He dead-eye shoots the explosion, the explosive he put, and the Sith speeder explodes still closer to Maul. So Maul has to like jump and flip and dart his way out. And now he is still agile, but he's also getting older. He's been in hiding.
Sorry, I love "Can't fool me."
I'm sure he'll say it again. Maul's getting a little older too, right?
Yeah, he is.
So you can hear those servos whining in his legs, right?
Yeah, that's actually one of the underrated things that you forget is much like Alec Guinness, Maul's been around a bit too, and he's a little older.
Yeah, but he jumps out of the way. Now, what do you think Maul just attacks back, or do you think he tries to subdue Saw so he can talk to him?
He wants to talk to Saw. This is the whole purpose. And Maul. So Maul, I think where's he at again? Maul. So
Maul's kind of jumped out of the way. Maybe I want to think like even a bit of shrapnel got him, like in his shoulder. And he's bleeding a little bit, so he's pissed, which is easy for him because he's
get pissed, rich anger. I think he does, and Maul can never just like walk over. He does like one of those little flips he does in Phantom Menace, like the sideways, kind of like almost like a ballet move, and he flip, and he gets over to Saw. And I think he uses the Force and throws the blaster aside.
Oh, he just pulls it out of his hand.
Just like Vader in the Rogue One hallway. And then he grabs Saw by the armor.
Oh, he pulls him over and grabs him?
Because Maul, because of Whitwer's excellent voice now, Maul has become like a close talker. He's like a Lord of the Rings, what does your heart tell you? He could never be like, hey, what's up?
Yeah.
He'd be like, I'm here to ask you a question about your friend, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Kenobi? I don't know anything about Kenobi. That sounded more like Maul.
I haven't seen him in 20 years.
And I think Maul doesn't believe this, right?
absolutely doesn't believe this.
No.
He just says, he's alive. He is alive. I know he's alive, so you have to know it as well because he's part of your pitiful rebellion. I feel it. I sense it. He's part of what's going on, this foolish hope in the galaxy.
And I think Saw has been taking advantage of Maul's intensity.
Right.
And I think Saw has been slowly reaching down and pulling a small blaster from his back that he's got tucked back there under his armor.
I like that.
And I think he tries to shoot Maul in the leg as they're talking.
It does. And he hits him. But much like when Rose Tico hits Phasma, it ricochets off and hits Sneezer Fortuna as he's just about ready to get out. He's like, I'm still alive. Gone. R.I.P. Sneezer. And this, now Maul's like, now he's just, now the anger's starting to rise. He still knows, though, Kenobi's the goal.
Yeah.
And Jedda's a holy land. Maul can feel it.
Yeah. It's bugging him, right?
It's bugging him.
Yeah.
He's far away in the temple. Baze Malbus is like, Sherrod, why you having such a problem? Why you itchy? I can sense something's wrong.
Yes. They're hearts of Kyber. The stars have hearts. It's hard to explain. It's weird. It's a weird process.
Something's here.
Big stars have hard hearts in their Kyber. Anyway, I'm going to get this down.
Yes.
Baze. I'll get this down.
I'll get it to a shortened version.
They're workshopping that far away. But Maul he can sense the goodness and it's bothering him. And I think he brings his blade to just chops that blaster in half, right?
Right.
With a flick of his wrist. Brings the blade, sizzling in its anger, to Saw's face.
Yes.
Right to Saw's face. And what do you think Maul says?
He says, you are lying to me and you are trying to defend the galaxy and those you love, but I will destroy all that you love. Tell me where Kenobi is. And as he does this, he moves the lightsaber a little closer and actually starts to singe Saw's chest, like in the armor.
He's cooking the armor. And it's getting hot in there, and Saw is starting to sweat.
Save the armor! Move the blade!
But Maul does not listen to this. In that, Saw knows that Maul is not going to listen to this.
Yeah.
And more than anything, he knows that even though Maul isn't directly working for the Empire now, that he is a part of the plague that gave rise to the Empire. He's not all into that Force stuff, but he knows it's Sith behind this.
Yeah.
He's worldly enough to know. He's heard rumors. So he's yelling at Maul to distract him while he is delicately hitting a button embedded on the inside of his armor. He has to kind of stick his fingers underneath and hits a button. This button emits a strange pitched frequency that only Borgullet can hear. And back at the base, Two Tubes and Beezer are taking care of Borgullet, and suddenly Borgullet's like, and just starts slurping and hustling its way out, just
like a good day's march. But no, people don't know that the boars, they're faster than you think.
Yeah, the Borgullets, they can move. So I think basically what Saw is thinking at this point is if he can live long enough, the Borgullet can either help him or prove to Maul that Saw knows nothing about Kenobi. One of those two things will happen.
Excellent call. Does Saw say, just wait here for a minute?
I think he just is yelling random things that maybe sound titillating.
He's kind of a loony pants in that way.
Yeah, he's like, Kenobi, I remember he didn't want to train us, but he did. And of course, that means that Kenobi will always be conflicted. So clearly, that means his location is conflicted. Wherever he is feeling confliction. And you think he's just going on this, just in a circle. It's starting to just sound like a student who's writing a paper and it's not as long as it needs to be.
Do you think it's doing the, like we do like a cross dissolve fade into like ETA 30 minutes later? He's like, and then I told Mon Mothma that the rockets are necessary and our dress was not conducive to battle.
Yeah, and I think Maul, strangely, as a Sith, is a practitioner of anger, has had to learn patience. And this is trying his patience.
Every last
his
fiber.
mind is fraying. He's trying to be a scheming mastermind.
Yeah.
But the ferocious rage is building, right? And I think that Saw builds to a just apex of bullshit that Maul cannot abide.
Right.
I think he's getting down to, if I recall, Kenobi was 1.675-ish meters. That was his height. I believe records claim he was from the planet Stoojon. So if you add that information up, you will know that he probably still has a beard. And Maul cannot take it anymore. And I think Maul lashes out. I think he screams, Gerrera! And I think he just throws him straight into the air.
Yes,
real high.
I was going to say we went to the same spot. I thought he was going to almost snoke him, where he was going to like hold him up high in the sky.
Well, tell me what you think.
I think
Saw's up in the sky. What happens next?
I think he does this. I think Maul does. And by the way, in my mind, Boar Gullet is within eye range.
Okay, so
And
Borkul can see Saw flying to the air.
He's like what's the character in Office Space that's like, guys, we're getting fired. And he's like in attack, and he's chasing him. The one who makes the jump to conclusions map.
Oh yeah.
So
he's basically the Borgullet.
basically the Boar Gullet. And I think Maul he actually it's called the force trampoline. And so he launches Saw high into the sky, maybe 20 yards or so, and then launches him back down to about a foot off the ground and then back up.
Oh, yeah.
You know, have you ever been top of the stratosphere, that ride that launches you on top of the needle?
Oh, yeah.
And Saw's just going up and down. Please,
Save my lunch. So Maul is torturing him, right?
in his own way. This is altitude torture, multiple altitude torture technique here. And so he's flying him up, and then finally he holds him upside down, much like Rey in Last Jedi, in front of him.
Yeah.
And the blade comes out again, and it's like singeing Saw's hair.
Oh, yeah.
Like what's left of it on the side.
Yeah. Now, Saw is always prepared, right? So I think he's hanging there upside down, and I think he's pretends to be more out of just breath, out of everything, more out of control than he thought.
Playing possum.
And Saw's like, please, no more. I can't even lift my arms. And he sticks his foot out. Please. But then he pulls his battered pants up.
Okay.
And he's got a bunch of little vibroblades attached to his foot.
To his cybernetic foot? Or is his regular foot?
His regular foot.
Regular foot. Got it.
And I think the timeline works.
I got you.
Yeah.
I sense where you're going.
Yeah,
I love it. I love it.
It's got these vibroblades.
Okay.
And he hits yet another button, and they launch. So like 6 vibroblades launch from his foot right at Darth Maul's face.
Yes.
Now, how does Maul handle this?
Maul, a lot of force concentration at play here. Maul loses concentration, loses his hold on Gerrera, is able to duck out of the way of 5 out of the 6 blades.
Ooh.
But one blade cuts off a horn.
Oh, no.
Universal sign of, uh-oh, you did not just do that. Boom, horn cuts off, it goes flying, and Maul is pissed.
Yeah.
Sith pissed.
And I think Saw falls to the ground, that hold broken, the horn falls, and Maul says, I will reattach it, but you will not reattach this. And as everyone who has been listening to this podcast has known the entire time, Maul cuts off Saw Gerrera's right leg, right? Oh! It flies through the air. Yeah. Cartwheels in the air. How do you even do that by cutting a foot off?
Yeah.
You get some air, like Dooku's head. Why? It gets air.
It gets air. Like that Praetorian Guard, the part of him that flew and lit the...
burns the curtains
Burn
down.
The curtain.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, so it's flying in the air. It flies so far in the air that it lands on the approaching boar gullet.
It hits the boar gullet in the head, as if to say, "Hurry up, boar gullet!" And boar gullet hears the cry of pain. Right?
Boar gullet sounds like a clown. Yeah.
Can't save the foot.
The foot is gone.
And I think the boar gullet hurries up now, right?
Yeah, again, faster than you'd think.
Yeah,
but still slow.
Strangely bonded to Saw Gerrera, the boar gullet.
Yeah.
So now Saw's in bad shape. Maul's had enough. Who do you think makes the next move? Is Saw even capable of it, or does Maul move next?
Maul looks at the approaching boar gullet and knows what this is. He's been around the galaxy.
Oh yeah, he's fought Rathars. He's fought it all.
Absolutely.
He's fought a boar gullet before.
In a truth-off. So what he does is he says to Saw Gerrera, "You will need to use your boar gullet as proof to me that you're telling the truth, and I might let you live." So Saw signals, boar gullet, here now. Now do me. So the boar gullet does its thing.
It wraps itself suddenly around Saw's head as Saw's cauterized wound trickles blood into the sand of Jeddah. Right. Not fully cauterized, obviously. That's why it's trickling.
Yeah.
And I think as the boar gullet bonds with Saw Gerrera, Maul, much like we first saw him back in Naboo, paces back and forth, that blade out. Anger coursing inside him. He's mumbling, "Kenobi, seething, my revenge. Kenobi, Palpatine, Melkor, Ezra." He's going down his list.
Right.
Angry, pacing. Boar gullet bonds with Saw Gerrera. And I think Saw Gerrera gives Boar gullet the command to grab Maul.
Yes.
And bring them into a three-way bond.
He does that.
Boar gullet, three-way
Maul. Grab Maul.
And what do you think happens?
A tentacle reaches out, and it does. Maul is, and this is a lesson that Maul maybe never learned in life. He is very strong in the Force, but he sometimes loses concentration, lost and wrapped up in his own anger. And so as he paces there, he turns back around. Boar gullet sees the opportunity, reaches out, and just slaps, like Three Stooges slaps Maul right in the face, stunning him, and then with the same tentacle reaches around his neck and pulls him close. Maul actually drops the lightsaber.
Oh, wow, yeah, and Boar gullet, pulls them both in?
Yes.
I think their heads even clunk together as they get so close together, right?
Like a coconut smash, boonk, and, if only Maul had heard the words of Obi-Wan, of "Guard this with your life." The blade's on the ground, and now they are face to face with the boar gullet wrapped around both their minds.
Yeah. And I think that this is coming across now to Maul. He's getting all of these images from Saw's tortured mind, the horribly violent things that Saw has done, how conflicted he is, right?
Like even Maul's like, "Children? You attacked an event with children?"
I think Maul's like, Damn, Saw Gerrera.
Respect, but that's some cold stuff.
Damn. What do you think Saw is getting from Maul? What's seeping into him?
He is getting from Maul just a long cavalcade of criminal syndicate business meetings. Just a lot of anger, and he can't see the anger. The anger's just red. He's like, "I see redness, anger, redness. A lot of meetings.
Business meetings
With Crimson Dawn and the Shadow Collective. That Kira is very insightful. I don't know who she is. I've heard of her. I've never met her." And he's just learning a lot about the state of the criminal underworld.
Yeah.
Stuff he already knew. He knows Memphis. He knows what's going on.
And this is happening over split seconds. And this is almost feeding Boar gullet. The connection's getting stronger. And Saw realizes that he can't get out of this alive unless Maul is dead. There's no dealing with him. So I think Saw manages to grab a rock.
Okay.
He's getting, in fact, actually, there's just an old stick, like an old piece of construction buried in the sand that he finds with his hand.
Yeah, they were going to open up the Jeddah mini mart outside of town. It didn't take. Yeah.
There's a big Jedi statue that to christen the opening of the superstore.
Yeah, didn't work.
Just a piece of like what we would call rebar.
Yeah, shop local people.
Yeah, and he thinks of it as a stick, and he thinks of what he tells Jin when Jin will go on to tell.
Yeah,
one fighter with a sharp stick can win the day. So he pulls out that stick, and I think he starts whacking and stabbing at Maul. And Maul's had enough of this. So Maul's like, die, Gerrera. And I think this is crazy. Go see if you go with me on this. Maul reaches out to force choke Gerrera. Gerrera's throat begins to constrict.
Yeah.
But their connection through the Borg gullet is so strong that Maul's throat begins to constrict as well.
Oh, it's like some applied kinesiology here. It's like he's
they're
like
so connected.
Yeah. Oh, wow, I like
that
this.
Maul is force choking himself through the mind meld of the Borg gullet.
I like that a lot. I hope we see this in episode 9 as a new force power.
What do you think it sounds like as these two choke together? Sneezer is still alive.
looks up. Head plops back down.
So they're choking, connected. What I think this might be a good place to pause in our combat and decide who we think should win. Normally, we don't kill people who've before their time, and both these characters, their time is coming real soon.
Real soon, around the corner.
Right around the corner. Do you have a feeling of who would win, who should win, all that kind of great stuff?
The real winner of this match is the Borg gullet.
Absolutely.
We've got that down.
Yeah.
I honestly think Saw at this point would win. Now, Maul, straight fight. I mean, he's got the skills. It's almost no match. That's why Kira wanted to hide Han from him and all these things. So Maul might have it physically, but I think we are seeing the final decline of Maul.
Okay.
Mental decline of Maul.
Yeah. He's breaking.
He's breaking, indeed. Good way to put it. And I think that's what's happening here. I think Saw gets some sort of victory here.
Okay.
Maybe not a clean one. Maybe not a big, hash in the win column, hash mark in the win column here. I think, but basically a victory.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. I think in a straight, unaltered combat, no Borg gullet, Gerrera there are not enough tricks up his sleeve to defeat the mighty Maul, right?
Right.
But since this is almost Maul defeating himself because he's really down to, no pun intended, his last legs of sanity, he just wants to have purpose, and the only purpose he has left is to find and kill Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Right.
He's so desperate. It's almost like Maul beating himself.
Yeah.
So do you have a vision then of what happens next for Gerrera to win this combat enough to live to die another day?
I think Maul, he stopped choking him. They're both gasping on the ground.
Both gasping.
Right?
They're still painfully connected through the Borg gullet. The Borg gullet causes a little bit of insanity.
Yeah, a little bit of twistedness. I think Saw gets up and hops. Forget he's lost a foot. He crawls over to Maul. Maul's on the ground, and I think Maul's still gasping for air. And I think Saw's a big guy. I think he just crawls on top of Maul, pins him down. If this is a wrestling match, you get the 3 count here.
Okay. He's got that armor.
He's got the armor,
big heavy armor.
And Maul is being crushed.
So he rolls. Is he still attached to the Borg gullet?
I think the Borg gullet is kind of stopped. I think the Borg gullet,
once the force choke went through, maybe it choked the Borg gullet a little bit too, and even the Borg gullet's like
back choking backlash there, back flow. So, and I think, but Saw is winning. It's like a verbal finish. He's like, "You are not powerful. Your search for Kenobi will lead to your doom."
Okay, yeah.
And a lot of it's hard truths for Maul to face.
Yeah, I think Saw has rolled on top of him, like you said. I think he's still got that stick. And he's just battering. So it's verbally and physically, right?
A little physical, yeah, you're right.
A little kind of whacking him at the ribs and the legs. Maybe he even hits a gear in one of the legs that sparks.
Yeah, and actually a little piece, a little servo, a little coil goes flying out just as Sneezer Fortuna lifts his head up and then boom, right in the eye.
Right in the eye. Caesar falls. Boom. Perhaps
Caesar's,
for the last time.
Yeah,
we don't know.
We don't know.
He's a fighter. And yeah, so Maul is being pummeled.
Yeah.
With this, and Maul, I think, summons the strength and is like, "Enough! I see you don't know where Kenobi is. You are nothing but a useless piece of idealistic meat." And he force pushes Saw up off of him.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. But Maul's panting. He's force choked himself, and that was all the strength he had.
Right.
And he's trying to gather his strength. And he struggles to his feet. One of his legs is a little damaged. And he calls his lightsaber to himself. And then he hears a noise. And Maul, in his anger and his rage, forgot. He just threw Saw up in the air. And what goes up comes down. And I think all that weight, all that armor, all those drops of blood, smash Maul into the sand, right?
Oh, yeah. If this was a Bugs Bunny cartoon, Maul would be at least up to his waist in the dirt.
Yeah. I think Maul is knocked out.
Knocked out cold.
Knocked unconscious, right?
Yep.
And I think Saw realized, this was very lucky. Must escape with my life and yours, poor Garrett. And I think he struggles. And he looks behind himself and realizes, I need something to build a new foot with. And he grabs up some of the exploded parts of that Sith speeder.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Puts him in a little satchel.
And then I think he jumps on Borgullet's back.
Yes.
He's like, Take me home, Borgullet. Keep the leg alive.
And I think the Borgullet moves, again, faster than you'd think.
A lot faster.
Slowly, just like an octopus escaping off a boat in a YouTube video, just starts getting out of there.
There's a smear and a smell left in the wake, right?
Smear and a smell. A Borgullet Star Wars story. Yeah. And he rides into the sunset.
He rides into the sunset, soon to lose it all. His lungs extra damaged by that force choke, right? I mean, they're already damaged, but now they're, I'm going to need to upgrade the armor lung. And right off into the sunset, right?
Yes.
Our combat is over.
Yeah.
And it may look like that's the final scene. Mm-hmm. But then something happens. Maul rises, right?
Right. Stands up, leg damaged, horn broken.
Says the leg.
Yeah.
What happens with Maul in this moment?
What happens with Maul is he activates his little wrist thing, and the like a really beat up version of the scimitar, the Sith infiltrator.
Oh, nice.
Comes riding over, but it's like a bad version,
like a crappy version he made.
I don't even. It's not even his original one. He bought it at like a used lot. Oh, I used to have one of these.
He retrofitted it.
That was more Saw, but I used to have one of these. And it comes flying over, but he thinks to himself, he's like, should I go into town? I don't know. Should I go into Jeddah City? I'm not feeling good.
Yeah.
And that's when he turns and looks. And high above Jeddah City, because they're on the outside of Jeddah City, he sees two shapes, two figures up there. And he looks up. He doesn't know who they are, but he senses that the Force is not strong with him, but the Force is aware of them and friendly with them. He wants nothing of this fight today. He's had enough. He crawls onto the bargain basement Sith infiltrator and leaves the planet.
The Sith speeder, I think, begins to ascend, right?
Yep.
His soul is still filled with hate.
Anger.
Filled with shame that he was beat. He is stronger than this. He's more powerful than this. He deserved to be the apprentice. He deserved to take the master. He deserved the galaxy. As he's just about leaving the atmosphere, through his heightened senses, he hears a distant achoo. He hears a sneeze, and he realizes there's still a victim who can feel his wrath. And he takes a loose part of his leg, and from all the way up there, much farther than the eye can see, way in the atmosphere, he just throws that tiny gear from his leg. It whistles all the way down.
And if you drop a penny from the top of the Empire State Building,
it will bury itself in Sneezer Fortuna's head, killing him once and for all.
We've had a death here today.
We've had a death.
Yes.
Sneezer Fortuna truly is dead.
And Maul flies off. And it's like, I must find my answers elsewhere.
Indeed. A good answer or ending to any Databank Brawl. Find your answers elsewhere, because this is mostly bizarre fun. That was very fun.
Yes.
We learned a lot.
We learned a lot.
In particular, that strangely Saw Gerrera and Maul's voices can kind of blend together.
Kind of, if you're not careful.
Yeah. It's a lot of responsibility.
This is what, hey, Ken, why don't you get into voiceovers? Let me show you examples why I shouldn't.
Nah, you're great. You're great. All right. So, Ken, where can people find you in your great vocal impressions of Star Wars weirdos across the galaxy?
Yes. Follow me. Save the Twitter. You can follow me on Twitter at Ken Napzok. That includes YouTube. All right. Check me out over there, and Instagram as well.
Retweet the podcast.
You cannot like, but you can retweet.
We always want to thank people for leaving all those great ratings and reviews. Thank you so much for getting us to this new goal. We'll let it rest for a little while, and then we'll get back to having a new goal of doing another episode with major characters like this. We also like to thank Tony Thaxton for our theme music. You can check out his Patreon at patreon.com/Cloud City Soundtrack. You can check out our Patreon at patreon.com/ForceCenter. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram. It's at Joseph Scrimshaw. And check out all my albums, podcasts, and shows on my website at josephscrimshaw.com. You can like Force Center on Facebook and follow us on Twitter is at ForceCenterPod. And until next time, as Luke Skywalker once said, while no one was really listening to him, I care. That's it for Databank Brawl.